Good night, good evening, or good night. My name's JolttronTitan, and I'm a freaking idiot. As you may know, I made this head and these paws all by myself. I gotta say, I'm a little biased, but it turned out better than most other people. Yep, I have a sustainable ego for sure. I mean, nothing is all sunshine and rainbows. I mean, it's 2020 and June 21st is coming up. The world's about to end. So, I guess that brings us off to today's episode. What to do for your first fursuit, how to execute it, and what you should avoid. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, I will be taking my fursuit head off for this video, but I will not be showing my face. Remember, if we get to 100 subscribers, I will do a face reveal. I mean, I do plan on using my video, so please make that happen. So, subscribe down below if you want to see my face or more content just like this. But, that's against the point. I will be using this nice fencing mask. Yeah, if you're wondering where my fencing sword is, it's actually at my other house. You may have saw it in my fursuit spray video. Go check in the card above.
JolttronTitan, your videos are cringy and nobody watches them. Just stop.
Now I gotta say, we're gonna start right off by kind of what I did wrong. But you can always apply this to whatever you're doing for your first fursuit. So, first of all, I gotta say the biggest problem was I didn't really know what I was doing when I was making the base. I only looked up the certain tutorials, like Sparky Can-Do's and Sky High's tutorials on making a bucket-headed base. And honestly, I should have followed it a bit more. If actually, you see right here, well, you can't see it at all, but the cheek actually is made of 3 pieces. You got this part coming down right here. There's one piece right here. Another piece for the actual big cheek that's actually stacked multiple layers. And then some really weird rectangle piece just going right in the middle. I actually did that so I could make a smile that could actually put teeth inside, kind of like Beauty of the Base. I mean, it looks a lot cuter this way, but my character isn't really cute. He's more, how do I state this? Edgy, a bit more, psychotic. Psychotic is another good word for that.
It was at this point in time that I noticed my fencing mask was actually rubbing against the microphone, and that made the microphone wind muffler fall off, and the audio here will be atrocious, so for your headphone users, I deeply apologize.
Just more of a wild card, and that's more emphasized with the pointy ears that I have right here that are very tall. Something else you should really do is actually sew your seams shut. That's what I did for most of the seams on this head, but there's actually one seam that I did not sew, and that's right here on the chin. And that's because I was actually trying to stretch this fabric so it actually pull the jaw down, because this jaw, the way I get my foam is on a big gigantic roll, and this was on the roll going this way. The roll was going like this, and what that actually did was bend the jaw so it was bending upward towards the top lip, which, I mean, it looked pretty bad. It looked really bad. So, what I did was I actually got the fur and I pulled it down, but that left a bit of a gap right here. So I literally just glued a piece on right there, and I mean, if you're looking really close you can see it, but you're not going to notice it. Sew your seams and make sure you tape very precise. And also, in the lining, in the bottom right here, right around the muzzle part, really weird, I made a space so it actually has a part for my nose, and then it goes down again, and goes back out as the jaw. What I did was, it didn't line up perfectly, so I actually glued a bunch of Lycra just inside to cover it up, the foam. I mean, you can't really feel it in practice, but it's still there, and it kind of annoys me. I mean, the shape I made was super awkward, so the way I designed my base, just follow the tutorials at first, and then do your own thing. It will pay off in the end so much more. Now, I did just mention about taping precisely. One mistake that I think I made was the fur right here. It's a little messed up, like on the tip of the ears. The little cheek dots are, they're meh. But most notably, right on the bottom here, the nice little lump of lump. And that is because when I was taping this, I didn't actually tape half of it, even though this, I would say, is 95% symmetrical. If your head is more than 95% symmetrical, by your own judgment, definitely tape half of it. You'll come up with a much better product. Now the reason why you tape half is so your fur, the pattern becomes as symmetrical as possible. I mean, I did a really good job because I actually used paper stencils to copy and paste each marking, except on the ears. If you look right on the ears right here, you see the dot right here is a lot smaller, and it's not actually on the top. It's kind of in the front. Well, this one is pretty much perfect. So, always do that. And then when you're assembling it, you see that's kind of where I failed. I assembled most of this 100%, except right here. This part right here. So there's actually a seam going right here, right from the tip of this marking, all the way down to the bottom of this cheek. And this entire piece right here, with this huge marking, was all shifted down here. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I was actually already gluing it on, so I almost couldn't take it back, but I realized it wouldn't actually fold over, and I was panicking, so I ripped it off with the hot glue still hot, and part of it already stuck. And that was right here. Then when I actually cut the seam and re-sewed it, I was already a bit too late, and then when I put it back on, yeah, got an annoying lump right there. Comment down below if you want me to fix that and see if I can, because if I ruin this, I'm gonna be quite cross, very cross. Also, speaking of gluing, don't use multiple kilograms of hot glue. I mean, this entire head, I think like 95% of this weight is hot glue, because when you use too much hot glue, it gets really hard to sew parts, like right around the jaw. If you look close enough, you can tell I was switching between a blanket stitch and a ladder stitch. I was using a blanket stitch because I could put more force to actually sew through the hot glue. And it's not healthy for your needle, and it doesn't look as nice. So, don't use too much hot glue. But I think that's enough ranting on the bad. Let's look at the good and what you can do to also improve on. Now, first thing is the eyes. I always advocate for making about 3D printed eyes or plastic eyes, not this foamy stuff you buy at the dollar store or at a craft store. I mean, this stuff, it does look good, but one problem I had was I actually poked it with the needle when I was sewing around the edges with this black fleece going around the edge. Also, if your character is white, this is extremely important to put this black little piece around. It makes the eye pop a lot more and not just look like it's just there. But anyways, the foamy, I used hot glue on it, and the hot glue did show, and I did put paint over it. I should have at least mixed the paint with a bit of color, so that it camouflaged a bit better, or use a different kind of white, because it really shows when you look at the paint. But also, the reason why foamies are actually kind of bad too is Elk Dragon mentioned this, and I ignored it. You can poke it, and it will stay. Like, I poked this with the needle multiple times, and then there's a bunch of needle holes in it. It probably doesn't show on camera, but you can see them in person when you look close enough.
It seems to me you said the same thing twice in a row.
But the eyes, I actually did differently. Now mesh, you should always go for some kind of buckram, I believe it's called, but mine I actually used, I'm not even sure what it's used for, but it works really well. It's very good for seeing through, but you can actually tell that it's folding because it's very flimsy fabric. It's even more flimsy than like cotton. And when you shove it into a hole, then it kind of squishes a little, which makes it bend. And again, that doesn't look pretty. And also, might I mention, this eye shape. This eye shape is just kind of the worst to make. How I actually designed these eyes was with 2 layers of foamies. If you actually look in the inside, you see that? You saw it in my last video. It's black on the back. I sandwiched the mesh in between 2 layers of foamies that covered both pieces of foam in Mod Podge. Then I got my toolbox and I let it sit there for over 24 hours. And the end result, pretty nice looking eyes, but once you put it inside the eye socket, it's squished. And I gotta be fair, the end result is pretty nice, but yeah, mixed feelings about them. You're gonna make eyes, yeah, make sure the eye sockets are big enough, and if you have to, trim it away. Now, I gotta say, if you save up the money to buy actually good materials such as luxury shag or foam, or in the case I didn't do, was buy an actual good shaver for fur, and the end result will be magnificent. I mean, it's sturdy. I'm confident I could hit this with a golf club, and it would be fine. I wouldn't try putting a driver to this head, as if I damage it, there's no coming back from it. I actually do not have a good pair of shavers. I have this like $50 kit that I've had for over 10 years, I think. And we never used up my dog. I used that, and you can tell the end result was quite choppy in person, especially around the edges, and most notably on my paws. See the tips? Yeah, I didn't really shave too much, and I got a little lazy. The amateurly made suit, usually big downfall is with vision and ventilation. Now, I took this into account. I made a very, very big breathing space right in there. So, I gotta be fair, I have no problem breathing in this. So, overall, this suit, I'm happy with the end result, and I look forward to making my next one. Now, the reason why I didn't make this a full body or put as much time as I could have is I actually plan on remaking this a couple years down the line and actually install a bit more triangles, a bit more of a menacing smile, and, you know, actually make a tail and whatnot. But my next suit will be a full suit, hopefully, and it's not going to be this exact character, but more of an alternative version of himself. Stick around. Now that I've told you what I did right and what I did wrong, it's time for you to take action now. And that leads me to my couple 3 points that I have just to get you started. And that's just go for it. You have some foam and a bit of fabric. You can just start off with the base. You can order some fur in the mail, and voila. Now you've started potentially one of the biggest fursuit makers in about 10 years' time. Just do it. My second little pointer is, don't be scared to show your work. Like, if you're gonna post it to potentially like 4chan or something, I mean, I've never seen that. I've never really looked. But if you go to about Furry Amino or Fursuit Maker Amino, everybody there will kind of like it, and I don't think much of people will actually hate it, but be prepared for a bit of constructive criticism. I did, and I got featured, because I'm just that brilliant, right? But my last point of this entire video is take a risk. Take a jump, a leap of faith, and do something that someone's never done before. Like this, I've seen one fursuit made with indigenous markings, and that was Twilight Saints Naluark. What was it? A beluga character. That's kind of what my next suit's based on, so stick around. What I actually did was I took inspiration from indigenous Canadian people, especially this mark. This mark took me an entire day to make, but in the end, it looks magnificent, and I mean, this makes me stick out from the crowd, at least if you're looking at me from behind.
You'd think if somebody's following me from behind, they'd be looking at something else.
Something else that I will be doing for now on is I work at a leatherworking facility, and we have such a big scrap problem that I'm allowed to take the scraps home and do whatever I want with them because there's so much. So my nose is in the future. This is currently made of fleece, but I think I might just take this apart and replace it with leather. I'm thinking a nice Madras black would look really nice in here since it looks like a dog's nose. And something that's not much of a risk is the tongue is actually removable. Now remember, if you never try, you'll never succeed. The person who tries to shoot for 0 basketball shots will lose 100% of the time, but someone who at least tries will win maybe 50% of the time. So, go out there and try. Hey there, JolttronTitan from the future now. It turns out the audio from yesterday was so atrocious that you could hardly even listen to it. So, I'm re-recording this outro to tell you something different now. Again, 100 subscribers, face reveal, all that jazz. But also, tell me how you did your first fursuit, and feel free to send me your pictures and what you've done on at JolttronTitan on Twitter or Instagram, or you can find me JolttronTitan on Amino. Share it with me. I'd be pleased to give you constructive criticism or just see what you've done, just for the heck of it. I said about taking a risk, and I gotta be fair, I'm a bit of a hypocrite. I didn't take that many risks. So, for my next video, I'll be showing about doing upgrades to my head, or I think I'll add a neck piece so you won't see the human flesh, and I will add my dental surgery on too. Potentially something else, I'll try to fix that little lump. So, I guess I'll see you in the next video. If you want to see some more, this one right here, YouTube is going to recommend to you, but the one further down below, that's going to be my bootleg Q&A. Honestly, that's kind of my favorite one, and at the time of recording, it's at 69 views. Anyways, if you really like the video, press the like button down below. If you really like the content, feel free to press the subscribe button. Well, I guess this is the end of the video now, so cheers. Have a lovely night.